Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Carmelo.
Hello.
Damien, Buildwise. Oh, you are two people from Buildwise. Vive la Belgique. And Spiros, where do you come from?
Hello, I'm also based in Belgium, but I work with EBC, European Builders Confederation, association representing construction SMEs at EU level.
Okay, nice to see you here. And Zaya, where do you come from?
Hello, I'm from Mongolia. I work at JERES
Okay.
INGO from Mongolia.
But you are in Mongolia now? No. You are in
Yes, I am
Ulaanbaatar?
in Mongolia.
Ah, you are in
Yes.
Ulaanbaatar? Oh my God. Yes, that's great.
Yeah, I'm joining from Ulaanbaatar.
It's not too hot there?
It's actually quite hot these days. Summer has arrived here and it's getting hot. How are you?
Okay. So we are, Antoine, Frédéric and I, we are in France. Right,
Okay.
we have 36 degrees, and I think in Belgium that's the same, no? Very hard.
Some of my colleagues are actually in France now. They say it's really hot
Yeah.
there.
And Eleonora, welcome. Where do you come from?
Thank you. Hello to everyone. I represent the Union of Homeowners Associations in Bulgaria, and more specifically, its Center for Sustainable Housing. Yes, with more than 20 years experience in the field of energy renovation, specifically of multifamily residential buildings, from the perspective of homeowners associations, dealing with the involvement of homeowners and their associations, the community engagement, of course, energy efficiency of the housing, and sustainable housing development, of course.
Thank
This
you.
is me, yeah. Thank you.
And you, Carmelo? Italy, I suppose?
Yes, I work in Sicily, in Avola, in the southwest east of Sicily. I'm an architect.
Okay. So thanks to be here. We'll begin on, normally we are 20 today, so it seems that 50% of the people were just killed by the heat. But anyway, they will join, I hope, in the next minutes. So I am Sébastien Descours from France. I am leading the EU Peers initiative in France. And we were in charge to build some sort of a pathway of education in the different fields of the renovation. So the first three education sessions are centered on the quality of renovation. And we are very happy and very glad to welcome today Antoine Hervé from from Pouget Consultant, and he will explain what it is and what he will speak about today. So Antoine, it's your turn. Go on.
Hi everyone, can you hear me well? Thank you. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to get off a bit of rust from my English, and thank you in advance for being patient when I search for words. I will start a very quick presentation, and you'll tell me if you see it well too, so that we are good to go. Let's share this one. Do you see my screen? Thank you. Thank you for nodding. My name is Antoine, Antoine Hervé. Hervé is my last name. I work for a firm called Pouget Consultant, and I'm a member of the FIDEO project, which is in very close relation to EU peers through FIDAO Labs and Energy Cities. And today I have the very high pleasure of meeting you all and presenting you the quality of approach we use with the Séraphin Association, which I will describe, and specifically what we call the quality framework, which was co-constructed with several actors, which I will present also. And well, my intention for today is to present to you the way we built this quality framework, what it relies on, how it works, gives you a bit of the history of this framework, and give you some examples of how it translates into operational practices, and maybe how it could be translated or transposed into different contexts given your country or region. You might be under different insurance specifications, making that maybe this framework in itself is directly transposable into your context, or maybe it could need a bit of adaptation. Just a very quick word, and before maybe I get into it, feel free to ask any question you might have. I do have a few interactions into the presentation through a website, a web tool, which I will give you the link to. But feel free to ask any question through the chat, or already if you have an understanding, or if you need a clarification about anything, don't hesitate. We have 2 hours, I think, in front of us, and my presentation is about, I don't know, 45 minutes or 1 hour long, so there's plenty of space for discussions. Don't hesitate. Just a quick word about Pouget. We are a consulting and engineering company specializing in building efficiency, energy, and environment. We were created in 1982 with a mantra, or an intention, which was the no energy, negawatt, which is to try and reduce as much as we can the consumption of buildings, whether they are new or existing. We are particularly referent or liaison with public authorities, and we are composed of 120 men and women, mainly in Paris and in Nantes. Currently, I live in Nantes, and we also have a few more little agencies in Rennes, in the west of France, and then 3 agencies in the south, from west to east, but which are a bit smaller than the 2 main agencies, which are Paris and Nantes. We, as Pouget Consultant, we are part of the FIDO project, which we will discuss a little bit more, and we are also part of the Séraphin Association, which I will present. So here I will copy and paste maybe this. Oops, sorry. It's gonna be a bit easier, I think, for you. I'm just trying to get a hold of the link. Here it is. Sorry for that, just a second. I don't know why I can't paste anymore. Yoop. I'm trying a different way. Here it is. I don't know if any of you already know Mentimeter. It's just a very basic tool in order to get a bit more interaction in this video conference. And as you get the link into the chat, I will switch to Mentimeter. I'll try to make it full screen. That will be better. Yes, here we are. So you must be able to access Mentimeter without any login or anything. And here it is. The first person pointed it in Belgium, I think, or maybe Luxembourg. I don't know. So 2 people in Belgium. Just to have well, Sébastien made a very quick overview, and we have some ideas of where you're from. I just thought it might be nice to see this in picture. And it's also a way to try and see if you have a good access to Mentimeter for what comes next. So 4 people now. I see that 10 of you are online, so apparently it works rather well. How many of us are there? I think you are 10 people participating, 10 or 11. So apparently maybe 2 of you don't have access yet. Don't hesitate to raise your hand if you need help. And here we start to see a good coverage of Europe. Nice to see this. So apparently 10 of you have access. Only 7 of you, well, 11 of you now. 7 of you responded. Does it work for you? Do you have issues using Mentimeter? Okay, seems to be okay for everyone. So, well, thank you for this, and it's nice to see that it works well, and that we have again quite good coverage of different countries, which we will speak about actually later on regarding quality issues. Normally, your screen on Mentimeter should have changed, and you must see a screen inviting you to give us your expectations or questions about this meeting, if you have any. I know I didn't present anything yet, but that's actually the idea. I wanted to be sure that what are your expectations, sorry, and what might be your questions at this point, and try and see which are the ones which we are going to address and which ones we might not address today, but maybe later on. Maybe I give you a bit of time to try and think about it. You can give up to 3 responses, I think, per person. Quality canvas. Yes. On-site quality checklists. We're going to talk about it. Definitely. And regarding the second one here, we're actually going to speak about indeed Pouget experience and how we transposed it within the Serafin Association in relation with other actors, which we are going to describe. On-site quality control procedures in other OSS. Okay. About the other OSS, we are going to present the 5 current French OSS and how they work indeed. For today, I don't have any concrete operational example of non-French OSS. We are going to talk about other countries than France in some regard, but not operational procedures. Although we have some examples, I can talk about it later. Looking for new financial mechanisms. That is definitely the purpose here, and maybe we will not focus on this specifically. I mean, under financial prism, under financial focus, we are going to talk a lot about technical quality, but you'll see that there is a very close link with financial mechanisms. Comparison with our quality approach. looking forward to learn from diverse stakeholders. So good set of services and who have to pay them. Owners, partners, that's interesting. And I think also we are going to maybe mention it, maybe not dive into detail, but there is that's also a question for the feeder project to know who pays what about this whole service that we are building, and know our approach. We're definitely going to talk about this a lot. Some economics hub from EU to open RSS and good practices. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's rich. How to renovate heritage buildings. This I could do another 2 hours without any problem. And there's a lot of work led here in France about this. In this very particular session, we will not talk a lot about this topic here. Maybe just a very little about some technical specificalities they might have. But with pleasure, if you want later on to develop this subject very specifically, we do have a few things to say about this. Well, thank you very much. If I can just sum it up, there are a bunch of questions about quality check, quality canvas, quality control, and everything. This will be the very center of our discussion. Then there is a topic about financial relations with this quality mechanisms. This also will be mentioned, maybe not described in a very detailed manner. The main reason for that is that you have a whole session planned with Stéphanie Flachet. I think it's the third session. This one is the first. Then you have a second one with Frédéric, whom I see here in the video, and about about quality 2 and about step renovation, renovation step by step. And then you have a third session with Stéphanie, who will dive into details about the link between what we are talking today and the financial mechanisms associated with it. But still, I'm going to talk a bit about it because it's very intertwined. Well, thank you for all of this. I hope we're going to respond to all these questions. And then maybe not the last one, not the last question. There's another question following, but I just wanted to know how much do you already know about the association, the Séraphin Association, and their quality framework, because I don't recognize any face on the Visio, but I did meet a lot of EU peers people, and maybe some of you already know some things. I can go a bit faster, but if you are a majority of knowing nothing about this, I will maybe take time to put the context and describe things a little. So you're at least 2 people knowing nothing about Séraphin. I will not take too long on this, just the bare necessities for you to understand the links between things. Right, equality. So yes, I will take time. Well, I will not go faster onto the Séraphin slides in order for you to know enough about this for you to get the whole picture. And then two last questions, just in order to get ready. Sorry, just turning off the phone. Oop. There it is. How much do you think bad quality or non-quality costs the French renovation market per year in billions of euros in terms of turnover? Just a quick estimation. Right in the middle. Yes, that's between 0 and 20 billion euros of turnover. Maybe if you need to understand it well, what we this figure, I didn't mention it. It's from a very official source, which is called AQC in France, which is an association historically funded by insurance companies, and which is now the public authority, French public authority about quality in construction. And recently they led a study which concluded in some very big figures, such as this one. And what they call bad quality is something that needs to be replaced, repaired, or dédommagé, refunded. All this costs money, and they have summed it up. This is 2022 figure. So in 2022, they estimate that the bad quality costed about X billions of euros. I'll give you the answer. It's 16 billions of euros in 2022 was the cost of bad quality for French renovation market in a year. So quite a large amount. It is 10%. Just to give you a quick overview, it represents 10% of the overall turnover of French renovation market. So non-negligible. It's a big figure in itself. It's not 100% of the market, but still 10%, which is a very nice margin of not of error, but a margin of to get better. I mean, we have quite a wide margin to get better. And then last one for now. Then we'll go dive in. Oh, there's a problem here. Sorry, that's not for now. I'll just wait for this last one. Sorry, maybe there's just a problem. I just check. Oops. Oh yes, there's a problem here. Just a second. I'll correct this on the spot. It's just going to take a few seconds. It's the content of the question which was not the right one for a reason I can't explain. The question is, I'm sorry, there's a little issue with Mentimeter. I think it's, yes, I think it's corrected now. Oh, there it is. Do you still see Mentimeter and this question? What portion of companies do you think can measure their quality? Oh, there's a bit problem here, but do you see this one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So here, yep, the question is, well, what portion in percentage do you think, how many companies in France consider they can measure their own quality? And it's out from the same study as I mentioned as the previous question. Okay, I see you're 7 and you're around the good number, the right response. Yes, it's 20%. 20% of French companies consider that they can measure their quality. Well, they declare, 20% of them declare they can measure it. So in reality, maybe the ones that can actually measure their quality might be a bit lower, and not to be a bad mouth, but it is very probable that actually less than 20% can actually and efficiently measure their quality. But still, 80% of them think they cannot even measure their quality, which is a very big figure already. So yeah, mainly you were in the right area. So congrats, and that will help us dive into the very heart of the subject. Oops. And let's go again. Do you see again the PowerPoint presentation? Thank you. So yes, as you can see, the two results here, the damage of non-quality is like the tip of the iceberg. There's a there are very well-known non-quality, but there are many non-qualities that we do not even see and we don't get the sense of. And apparently, this amount represents a very big portion of issues which are not addressed today, and which can represent a very large margin of I missed this word. Sorry. Getting better. Especially when we think that damage and non-quality are sources of social issues such as hardship, conflicts, health risks. So that is a real big a big issue which we need to address in order to fix those social issues. It's also an environmental issues because the French ADEME, the French energy authority, tells us that the repairs to repair those non-quality issues, they are responsible for 50% of the construction waste in France, which is a very high amount. So if you address the non-quality issue in the same time, you address half of the environmental issue of construction waste. So that is a very big figure, and it reinforced the intention we have to address this thing, which is non-quality. And then it's also a sector issue because it causes partly because it's a loss of attractiveness, both to customers and in terms of jobs for the companies. So definitely an issue we need to and we want to address. Not even talking about the risk it represents for financiers, which is one of the issues we want to tackle also, and which we're going to discuss in more detail. Just a bit of context. We're going to talk about many projects, many actors, and particularly we're going to talk about EU peers, of course, Fideo and Séraphin. So just for context, Séraphin is the name of an association founded in 2022. It was funded by a few companies, which are, for most of them, what we call third-party financing companies, TPFC, and their partners, which are Enregistrement, which you know well, or who you know well. At that time, it was specifically Françoise Refaber and Sébastien here in the session who were part of this company and partner of the Séraphin Association, Pouget Consultant, and Effinergie, which is a French association responsible for the main label, the main certification for retrofits in France. So all of us together, we created the association called Séraphin, and which intention is to try and promote that kind of business, that kind of company, which are third-party financing companies. Why is that? Those companies were created 10 years ago for the oldest, and they have a very which, if you don't know it already, they have a very specific possibility. As an exception, they can intervene as a both as a technical and humane counselor towards households to accompany them into their retrofits projects, and they can also propose a financing solution such as a bank would propose, which is a loan, and this is an exception which is authorized specifically for those third-party financing companies. What it is in more detail is that these companies can do something that the banks can't. They can take into account into the evaluation of the household revenues. They can take into account the energy savings permitted by the action of renovating into that evaluation. the banks can't, because the regulation says you cannot take into account this energy savings. Well, those 5, they can do it as an exception, and it really is a game changer specifically when you want to propose financing solutions to the poorest of us, which is about a bit more than the French household in France. So those 5 companies have a very specific way of working, and the goal of the Association Séraphin is to try and reinforce them and make it possible that we replicate this kind of business and link them with traditional banks through a nationwide bank, which we will talk about just right after. So this is for Association Séraphin. Just a quick word about the Orphée project, which was the first interaction between those actors and EU peers. Orphée project, I will talk a lot about it later, was funded by the EU, Horizon 2020, and was a 4 years project which had the same intention as I just said about the Association Séraphin, and actually Association Séraphin is the output of the one of the outputs of the Orphée project. So in the beginning there was the Orphée project, began in 2020, and it gave birth to Association Séraphin, which now tends to continue those actions in the future. A quick word now about Fideo. Fideo, if you maybe you know it already, but Fideo is the code name for the project which responds to a French call for projects, which aims at well, that's written on here, which aims at expanding the market of high performance renovations, and specifically what they want to do is create a specific kind of service which gathers real performance guarantee and a digital platform making the link between what we call the operators, the counselors, the ones accompanying the households, so which link them to the financiers, multiple financiers, so banks, third-party financing companies, and maybe other financiers. That's the goal of this digital platform. So Fideo responds to that call for project with the aim of developing a real performance guarantee, which we are going to talk a lot about, and a digital platform which allows to make links between those operational operators and financiers. And it's in the very continuity of our works led through Orphée and Association Séraphin. You will see that in more detail. Is it okay for you so far with those different projects and actors? Yeah, thank you. I see nods, so I continue. I will develop a little bit more what we call the Séraphin reference system, or the Séraphin reference framework. In French, it's référentiel Séraphin. I don't really know what's the best translation into English, but the idea is that it's a quality framework. You'll see that in more detail, and it's it's developed by the Séraphin Association. So just a quick overview of this framework, which is in the center here, and how it was built. This framework, first of all, is built upon existing approaches, namely 60 different schemes, different approaches, which were existing, French and international schemes. What we started by doing is that the intention was to create a quality approach, which would help us manage the risk of renovation works in order to get better insurance, get better financings. And the way to do that, we thought the best way to do that was to not recreate another quality approach, but to build upon the existing ones. So what we did with the first thing we did a very wide benchmark of existing approaches, French and international, as I said, and we tried and made the best synthesis of those existing approaches. Here I put a few logos which might not be very well known from you because most of them are French logos, French companies, French associations, French stuff. But still, the three in the bottom some of you might know them, although we don't have any Irish people and we don't have any British people either. So, well, you won't know those two, but this one is the Irish Code of Construction, which is very inspiring when you think about a renovation and quality approach. And this one, Trustmark, is I think a national label in Great Britain, which helps financing and accompanying of households in renovation projects. And the last one here, which is international, this one, IPMVP, is a protocol, international protocol for measure and verification. That's IPMV. I don't remember the last P, maybe some the last P protocol. Oh, the first one is performance, sorry. The International Performance of Measurement and Verification Protocol. And is at the very heart of one of the module of the Séraphin reference framework in order to get to a real performance guarantee. So now we talked about those existing approaches, and after we put them together, we tried and build upon that. Why? Because those existing approaches usually they address maybe one type of work, one specific type of work. I don't know, insulation or HVAC or I don't know, floors, ceilings. That's the way it works. Or they address a specific time of the project. For example, I don't know the English word for that one, but that time of the project at the end when you check that everything is set in place in the correct way. We call it reception. That might be commissioning in English. So some of those approaches specify into that timing. So what we did is try and articulate all those approaches in order to get the full cycle of life of a project from the first contact from the household all the way through the project up until 3 years after the end of the works, 3 years of just household using the new house, the new renovated home. That's the whole cycle life of our project, and we articulated those approaches in order to get a first base, and then we built upon that to add some controls when we thought that was needed. That's how we built the Séraphin Business Reference Framework. In order to make it simple, the reference framework from the Association Séraphin is made of two big modules. One which is a contractual framework. I won't go into detail today about this one. I will detail the second one, which is a quality and compliance approach, which is itself composed of sub-modules. The first one is a project control framework, and the second one is a framework which is for finance process controls. It's a framework made of finance process controls. As I said, those two are very intertwined, and because we are specifically looking at that kind of business, which are the third-party financing companies, we wanted to have a control onto the very technical things, the project control framework, and onto the financial things through the framework financing process controls. This quality and compliance approach sets a set of rules, of controls through those two frameworks, which are in continuous improvement. And then a second submodule of the quality and compliance approach is what we call the permanent control. The two frameworks are the set of rules which are imposed to those businesses. And then there is a verification which is made based upon those rules in order to ensure that everyone is well following the rules or applying the rules in a correct way. This permanent control is allowed via the what we call the video platform, which is a digital tool aiming at gathering every data coming out of the controls, the outputs of those controls, gather that data and set off some alarms if anything goes wrong or if control is not completed, where it should have been completed. That permanent control is automated and is made so that it can alert the people using the framework. No any authority, just the people applying it, so that there's no mistake. Well, the least mistake possible, and it's very just an alerting. Yes, just an alerting setting. Then once let's call them the operators. When the operators have successfully completed the different sets of rules for the project and went through the permanent control without any mistake, on a periodic base, every 2 years at least, and maybe more if the operator is good enough, but at least every 2 years, there is a periodic audit which is led by a third party. For now, we are thinking about bailiffs in order to conduct those audits. They are under construction currently. And the idea behind that is that you have a permanent control which is automated in order to get at least some alerts in order to not make big mistakes, something you'd have forgotten. And then on top of that, there is a periodic audit led by a third party, independent from all of us, via what we call the evidence trail, which comes and see, it's the control of controls. They come and see if what we have control and what we said about those control, the outputs, are coherent with the project itself, coherent between themselves. They come and see if what we said about those controls is correct. And this too is realized through the video platform, the video IT infrastructure. It is given to the bailiff so that they can easily get the data, and in the end say if this the audit conducted is successful or not. In the end, and that's the last step, once you have apprehended the frameworks, applied them, made sure that there is no alert via the permanent control, and you went through the periodic audit. This gives you what we call the Séraphin quality brand, which is a label certifying that you went through all this and that you comply with all of those rules. I will come back to it in a second. And with that quality brand, we also have a what we call a Séraphin guarantee. The idea here is that we want to build this brand so that it corresponds to an insurance guarantee destined to the households in order to give them the proof that their project is in good quality and have the possibility to be covered if there is any problem related to that renovation, which would be which source would be coming from a quality failure. Then if it's a quality failure in the end, and the operator has the quality brand and that guarantee, well then the household is repaired and reimbursed, so that they don't have to support the consequence of the non-conformity or the problem they had with their renovation. I just make a quick stop here to make sure it's. Do you have any question at that point? I see that there are some reaction in the chat. Mongolia is not on the map. Sorry, Sebastian. Indeed, I should have expanded it. How do we measure quality? Yes, I will describe this just right after. And I see that in Slovenia you have such a quality label. I must confess to you, I didn't study that one in particular. I know some examples in Slovenia for self-renovation, but not about quality label. So I will thank you for that. I will study it in more detail after our discussion. So is it okay for you up until at that point? I think it's never talking, but your mic is off.
I know, I'm sorry. I think
No
that
problem.
it is okay. I'm just
Okay.
wonder to ask if you have some metrics to measure this quality, or you will, because time to time I'm not hearing you very well. I'm sorry.
No problem. Do we have metrics to measure the
Yeah.
quality? Yes, we have. What I will describe just right after this is that here what I call the project control framework actually is a checklist or quality canvas, as I could read earlier, and that checklist can contain up to 120 points of control points, and the idea of those controls are to limit the risks, which are health risks for the people, building health risks, and the risk of non-performance. And all of those risks we didn't exactly measure them. We quantified them from the literature available, and then we identified which controls we had to put in front of those risks in order to limit them as much as possible. And here also, with the help of insurers, we quantified what would be the accepted amount of what would be the accepted amount of non-quality for a household, for example. I'll take an example. What we assumed would be okay for a household to support, to sustain, was, for example, a 10% bump or a 10% deviation of their energy consumption compared to what was the target of our project. Why? Because 10% of deviation is less than 50 euros here in France for the projects we're talking about. And we considered with the insurance company that 50 euros might be okay for a household to accept. I don't have the English word for that, but it's comparable to une franchise. It is in comparison. It corresponds to that little amount that the insurance make you pay to prove that you are of good faith and that they can set the insurance for you. I'm sorry, I don't have the English word for that one. I will search for it, but still, we quantified a few things, a few levels above which the insurance works and is applied to the project for the household, and under which we don't set the guarantee. We don't use the guarantee because we consider that it's okay at that point. So I don't know if it answers the question. We quantified a few things, but we didn't measure everything. We measure performance, energy performance, but not everything.
But you are measuring like the implementation, the workers, or you measure the completely process of the renovation? So from the project to the implementation.
We don't measure the work. The measure we apply here is not towards the workers. I'm trying to think of an example. We don't really measure what the workers do. We try and set set a set of rules which ask them, did you do this? Did you do that? Yes or no? It's very binary. It's not, you know, a quantity.
But you measure like investors, or you measure the architects, the building construction, who is in the process of assessing?
The actors the actors towards whom the compliance framework is applied is what we call the operator, meaning the third party financing company, the ones that are not concerned, but the ones that apply the framework are the contractors, the operators, and it has an impact then on the financiers. But the ones that are applying the framework are just the contractors, the operators.
Okay, thanks.
Just a very quick picture in order to illustrate the fact that the Séraphin quality brand is thought to be a prerequisite for what we call the operator. Here, the operator ensemblier. Sorry, I didn't introduce that term. That term is the one used within the FIDEO project and by the French government to designate those actors who are at the same time proposing a technical, financial support to the household, and the financial options for the households, the loans and the other financial products. This is the term we use in order to designate those very specific actors who can do both technical things and financial things. Operator ensemblier, which would be an assembler in English because it's derived from the industry sector. So those operator ensemblier, the whole idea behind FIDEO is to build and create a bank specifically designed for renovation projects, and specifically designed in order to take into account what I said earlier, the energy gain of consumption into the evaluation process. And what we consider is that in order to access those turnkey financing solutions from within the FIDEO bank, the condition is that you have the Séraphin quality brand. Without what you cannot access those turnkey financing solutions. Why? Because the very fact of trying to take into account the energy consumption gains in the financing processes makes you out of scope of the financing regulations. If you're a bank trying to apply those rules without getting this brand, you will not be able to take into account the energy savings into your evaluation. So that's the way we want the things to work. It's a prerequisite if you want to access those financing, to apply those rules in order to make sure that this energy savings is correctly evaluated, correctly quantified, and to limit the risk that it provokes to take into account that amount of energy savings. The Orpheus project, I will be a bit quicker on this one. I see that it's already 4:25. The Orpheus project, which I talked about earlier, was a Horizon 2020 $2 million budget over 4 years, and it gathered those same actors you saw before in order to try and build upon this very specific business that we call third-party financing companies. The the objectives of the project. I'm zooming a little because I think it might be a little for you. The main objectives were to try and standardize the methods of those third-party financing companies, try and optimize their financial resources, meaning make them able to go and get some EU fundings, go and get some maybe traditional banks financiers. And another idea of the Orphée project was to build a resource center, which later became the Association Séraphin, in order to build a resource center able to standardize their methods and help to launch new third-party financing companies or similar projects, and so that it would be easier for those projects, for those companies to join the same type of business as the third-party financing companies and the same financial possibilities they have, financial solutions that they have. Oops, sorry. Zoomed out too much. The methodology we followed to co-construct this reference framework, the Séraphin reference framework, it was 25 workshops over 3 years. It's more than 300 hours of work with those actors you saw before. And what we did was to try and translate the different practices and obligations which are existing, as I said. I think I hear someone trying to speak. I'm not sure. Maybe you have a question? No, it's okay. What we did was to try and translate those current practices which are a response to the obligations. That was the stage one. Then build a common core of practice between the different, the 5 different third-party financing companies, which had and they still have practices that are a bit different, and that's okay. What we wanted was to build a core of those practices, which would be the same for all of those specific companies, and which would allow us to build that framework, which is a set of rules where everyone, a set of rules where everyone has to get in compliance with. And then in the end, once we had done that, we supplemented those frameworks with inputs from what we called quality experts in order to go a little bit further, namely to be able to go up until a real guarantee, a real performance guarantee, which is very specific things that the third-party financing companies are not capable of doing, were not capable of doing up until now, thanks to the FIDO project. In order to build that core of controls, we used what we call a risk-based approach, risk-oriented approach. What we did, as I said, is we identified the different risks related to the renovation process, a renovation project. We selected 3, which we considered to be the main one and the one that we really want to limit when thinking about financing those kind of projects. Those 3 risks were, as I said, one of them was not translated, sorry. The energy performance, the risk of lack of energy performance, we should say. Second risk is, maybe the main one, is human health. And then this one did not translate very well at all. It's what we call building health. I don't know if Zaya wants to ask a question.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. And then once we identify those risks, we identify the causes of those risks, how they occur, through what cause. And then in the end, we qualified, maybe not quantified, but qualified those causes regarding their frequency and their scope, or maybe their impact, the level of impact, whether they are common or rare, and whether there are minor impact or it's not review at all, sorry, it's critical. Here it's critical. Critical impact, well, whether it's rare, possible, or common, we are in level 1 of risk. That's what it means. Whether when we are in a major impact, and if the frequency is rather rare, we consider it's a level 2 risk, not a level 1. Anyway, that's the way we qualified those risks into that risk-oriented approach. And then, in the end, once we had done all of that, we, in front of each cause, depending on the level of risk, we determined the necessary controls you have to perform in order to limit and manage that risk as much as you can. What the 1 and 2s mean here is that for some controls, you are going to have a level 1 control, which is a mandatory control you cannot bypass, whether than the level 2 controls, which are not mandatory. They can be done or not. They can be done on I'm sorry, I don't have the English word for that one either. Anyway, they can be done on some projects, but not others. That's what the level 2 control mean. And then the last meaning behind that little picture here is that you can see that for one given control, it will happen at some point into the cycle, the life cycle of the project, and other control that will happen a little bit earlier on or later on. That's what this little picture means. We differentiated, we put some controls from the very beginning up until the end of the project when it's needed, but some controls, some risks, if I can say, they only happened at some very specific timings of the life cycle. What I forgot to say, sorry, is that this the whole expertise behind all that was conducted by Pouget Consultant as a work package leader of that whole quality framework, and with the help of Marsh, which is an insurance broker, and gave us their whole insurance expertise and risk expertise in order to define all this and build it so that it could be easily understandable by the insurance companies in order to get that guarantee in the end. I'm going to be a bit quicker on this one. It just says that the Séraphin framework, it translates what I said in the very beginning. Séraphin framework relies on different regulations, rules of trades, professional rules, technical notices, business tools. Anyway, it relies on a whole bunch of existing quality approaches. Some of them are mandatory anyway, those are regulations. Some of them are optional, but still we tried and make the best the best synthesis of all this in order to build the framework. And the second thing is, as I said, it's completely transversal. It gathers every aspects of the renovation project, installation, ventilation, and so on. That's the meaning here. And finally, here is a first example. Sorry, I didn't translate it. It's a picture and it's all in French, but I will explain to you the meaning of it. It's an extract of the thing I mentioned earlier, which is the control framework, project control framework. And what it means is this. This is a very true extract of this, which we used with it says FTS here, sorry, it's another translation problem. It means the third-party financing companies. This is what we use with the 5 of them in order to, first of all, list all of the controls we need to put in place in order to limit the risk, as I said. Here you can find the level of control, which is 1 or 2, as I said just before. The 1 being the mandatory ones for any project. You have to do it. There's no negotiation. And the number 2 is, as I said. And then I won't go into more detail about those data here. They just mean what type of cause this control addresses addresses, and at what point in the life cycle of the project it occurs. That's the meaning here. But the core, the heart of this checklist is here. What do you have to do? What do you have to do as an operator in order to control and to limit the risk? That's the list here. So there are 120 of them. And then what we did in order to construct, to build this together with the third-party financing companies, is that we asked them to vote and say how far this specific control is from their day-to-day basis. 1 being it's very close, 3 meaning it's very far from their day-to-day organization, day-to-day practices. This allowed us to prioritize the different controls and then change them so that it could be closer to their practices and the real life of their projects. That was just to show you how we conducted those 25 workshops. That's just one example. What it led to is that we noticed that the controls could be categorized into different families. There are some controls that we call conventional. They are already put in place today by any operator, whether they are third-party financing companies or traditional contractors. Those controls are the mandatory ones imposed by regulations and so on. There's a second family which we call the quality plus, meaning those controls are the ones that are put into place by some of the third-party financing companies, maybe not all of them, but some of them, and which we collectively thought to be a good idea in order to go a little bit further onto quality, specifically when you are a third-party financing company who needs to be very, very careful about the energy consumption estimation, so that you don't take too much risk with your financial solution. And then in the end, there's a third family, which we call Performance Plus. This one means what do you need to put in place in order to go all the way until a real energy guarantee, meaning those are things, inspections, controls that the third-party financing companies were not specifically putting in place up until today, because they don't have they don't propose to the households a real performance guarantee. But that's the goal of FIDEO, to go all the way until that. And in order to do that, we designed with the STFs and the input of experts what we should be doing in order to do that. And as an example, I used here what you might know as a commissioning, which is a whole methodology that you can put in place in order to be a little bit more precise regarding performance. The other easy example is PMV, the famous IPMVP, Measure and Verification Protocol. That's what's called here PMV. And here, sorry, it's still the French acronym. AMU means that's a whole group of actions you can put in place in order to, I would say, like, it's not the best word, sorry, but in order to coach the households as to how this equipment works, so that it can get the better out of their equipment. Example, the ventilation system. It's very important when you put one into place into a project to inform the household how this works, how to use it the best way possible, so that it generates the biggest energy gain as possible, and for them to understand well how the house works and how all of the equipment works. That's what we put behind AMU, which is a assistance to a better use management of your system. I just took out some examples, very specific examples of controls which are into the framework. Here is the first one, which title is mandatory technical diagnostics, and what the control says is the following mandatory diagnostics are present, compliant, and complete, and up to date. Those diagnostics are asbestos, lead, termites. They are mandatory as French regulations go. And what we, the way we translated it into the framework is that this control must occur at the first phase of the life cycle of the project, which is called diagnosis. So it must happen very soon in the project. It is mandatory, so it's level 1. Here, sorry, French didn't translate. It's a high level of risk, very high. And it occurs in diagnostic phase. That's the example I took here. But there's also another control you have to put in place in consultation phase, sorry. It doesn't appear here. I just took one example, one control. But in this family, in this subject area of technical diagnostics, there is another control happening in consultation phase. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that those two examples are here to illustrate the 3 different families I mentioned earlier: the conventional, the quality plus, and the performance plus. Here, the mandatory one is really very traditional and put in place by any contractor, not just the third-party financing. Here I called it the business as usual, as to mean it is quality plus, but it is already in place within the third-party financing companies. And the example is air permeability test. It occurs in diagnosis phase, and here what the control says is that the air permeability test doesn't happen here. It's too soon in the project, but before you perform this test, well, there's a list of things that must be pointed at and prepared, and that's the meaning of that control. The list of points to be checked before starting work has been formalized. The main sensitive points are the connection between the external walls and the structure, the joinery, the junction between the frames and the wall, the frames of the windows and the wall, and the different openings that might be present onto the existing walls. Here also some French abbreviations didn't translate well. What it means is that you might have sometimes some air entries that are present initially, which were made for some gas equipment into the apartment. Tomorrow, if you remove the gas equipment, put, I don't know, a heat pump and insulate the wall, well, you are able to come and obstruct those air entries. That's the meaning here of this control. And last example is, titled Commissioning and Measure and Verification for a energy performance guarantee. It happens at the acceptance phase, meaning sorry, it's annoying, but it's what I said earlier, like the last phase, just right after work, before going onto operational monitoring. It's the last main check before delivering the renovation, the renovated house. So we call it acceptance. At that point, there is a control associated with commissioning and measure and verification, which is as follows. The operator or maintainer has to at least hand over a set of things to the maintainer. And it is thought out to be compliant with what you have to verify in the previous phases of the renovation project. Here, at the point where you have to verify again that what you designed in the very beginning is still here and coherent with what you designed in the first phase. So that's it for the different examples. And here I had a last one explaining what are the intentions and the plan of action for Fideo, the Fideo project. The idea here is to now open the Séraphin framework, which up until now was primarily destined to the third-party financing companies, but which we want to open now to a wider array of actors, and integrate the real energy guarantee, the guarantee for real energy consumptions in the end. We want to integrate that definitely into the process and into the Séraphin framework. That's the intention, the main intention of Fideo as regards to the quality, the technical quality of our projects. So we put into place some workshops with the different members of the project in order to equip 60 demonstrators. So what is written here, 50 single family housings and 10 multi-family houses. That's what we want to do in Fideo, is to equip 60 of those in order to measure the energy consumption before and after the project, to see if all of those controls in the end allow us to have that better reduction of risk, better reduction of energy consumption. What the other message behind this one is this slide is to say that in order to do that, we will demonstrate, we will equip, we will test the whole thing on operational projects, and we also want to open the framework, as I said, to other actors, which also means that we want to open it. We want to open its governance with a scientific board and a user committee, so that we can still continue that continuous improvement with a wider range of people, so that we can make it adaptable to more contexts than just the one of third-party financing companies, which is very specific. That was the second message of this slide. I had prepared a last question in Mentimeter for you. I don't know if, okay. The question is as follows: what is the main quality standard, in your country or region? The one that lay down the rules of the trades, the rules used by insurance companies. I don't know if it's easy to sum up into one word or just a short phrase. But I will take the example of Neva, where the quality label in Slovenia seems to be named ZRMK. I'm sorry, I won't be able to pronounce Kakavosi. Maybe Neva can pronounce it better than me.
Yeah, I think that we don't have like a quality rules by insurance companies. That quality label, it is just like a technical labels. They are criteria for technicals, not for the. It is not the same as you represent in this presentation.
And that's okay. I do have another slide just right after this question in order to zoom out of the French context, and try and see how it works in other countries. I didn't have Slovenia as an example prepared, but I think it could be interesting to try and place it in the table I will show you afterwards. So DTU, yes, I know that there is a European project aiming at standardizing the way we do quality of construction works in Europe, and DTU is at the center of it. Okay. I knew that that question would be a little bit trickier. I just wanted to know if there were sets of rules, national sets of rules that are very well known. I don't know who put this one, NIT, STS. I'm not sure I know those two. Maybe you could tell us the meaning of those acronym and where it is applied.
Yes, these are the rules from Belgium. So NIT is
Okay.
not l'information technique.
Okay.
And it's also, they're all related to different types of work.
Okay. I think Belgium is part of the examples I did have in stock because I know the Belgian regulations, but well, some of them. Okay, so it's a transition for the next one. Here it is. Nope. Sorry. Oh, I haven't seen anything about it. Okay, that's what you said just at the moment. And yes, what I wanted to do is just zoom out a little bit. Zoom out of France in order to have a very quick overview of construction insurance and quality in Europe, construction quality, how it works to place France and see how the rest works. And what we see is that in France, so there is a liability for the actors involved in the project, whether they are the operator, the contractor, or the household. The household can also subscribe to an insurance. In some cases, they have to subscribe to insurance. For example, in multi-family housings, the whole building has to subscribe an insurance in order to cover any damage that might happen during the renovation project, the renovation process. So they are liable for some of the risks. And mainly in France, it translates into two liabilities, one of 10 years for the solidity of the structure and 2 years for everything that is equipment. And on top of that, there is an obligation for the architects who needs to be insured. There's also an obligation for other participants, meaning the contractor, the enterprises that are working on the project. They are obligated to have an insurance too. There is no possibility of contractual limitation of liability. Any contract that are signed in the context of a given project cannot limitate the liability as it is defined by regulation. And then it exists joint and several liability between the different actors, which is also described and defined by the laws, the different laws in France. And what I wanted to do here is, well, actually you can find a source here for that table. It was to compare with the different other countries. And maybe what I can say, not to compare line by line and row by row. It is to say that, for example, in Belgium, compared to France, in France, the quality relies on products mainly, meaning that if I insulate this wall with any type of insulation, the product I use for insulation has to be vetted and needs to have a quality label on it. That's the way quality is conducted in France, mainly. Sorry. Whereas in Belgium, there is no. Well, there is, as you said, NIT and stuff, but it is not mandatory, and it is not the center of how the quality works in Belgium. In Belgium, quality works mostly and relies mostly on the architect, where the quality relies on how the architects does this and that, and how things are done, and not the products themselves. That's a main difference between some countries and some others. France is where quality relies on products, and Belgium is with a group of countries where the quality relies on people, on the way we do things, on the processes we use, on the know-how. That's a very big difference. Why do I say that? Is that it is a difference, and it might mean that what we built in this project might not be directly transposable to your context, depending on those different families of how quality is driven in your country. That was the main message behind this one. Here, a very quick link to a very big work in progress led by the European Union, the European Parliament, in order to standardize how we do quality in Europe, because there are differences. And you have that link here to give you the whole a lot of information about that ongoing project, which with a lot of literature, and it actually puts in the very middle of those works what we saw in the Mentimeter, the DTUs, which are documents, technical documents, defining how to do this, how to do that, the correct way, so that it could be used as a regulated point of reference, whether it's for laws, whether it's for insurers, whether it's for operators, contractors. That's what it's for. In the end, what I described here is how did we proceed in order to, once we had defined in our project the framework, we, as I said, it was the best synthesis of what the third-party financing companies were doing today, and it also included some things that it don't do already. Maybe some other third-party financing companies are doing, but not everybody. And it also includes some things about performance and commissioning and stuff. And what we did here is try and from that framework, from that standard framework, which in a sense is a kind of target, how do we make it so that it's applied correctly by the third-party financing company? And what we did is for that to work, we started by inventorying the existing controls within the given third-party financing companies, because they already had control in place. They didn't wait for this project, of course. And some of those controls are actually mandatory. So we just summed them up, listed them, described them, and made sure that they were taken into account. Here, just a quick example of how we did. We took the same points of controls. I'm just checking. Oh, I have low battery. I'm sorry. I hope it won't cut. I think I do have a problem. Yes, I'm sorry. I hope it won't cut suddenly. How we did, we took the same the same controls as we saw earlier, and we asked them, well, for your company, how is it done? Who does what? With what document? With what tool? And we used it in order to see how everything's done, where are the grays area, the gray areas, which needed to be supplemented. And we did this for each of the 5 third-party financing companies. The idea here was to accompany them in the appropriation of this framework. And actually what it also permitted
Antoine has disappeared. I hope he will come back in a few seconds. Do you have any comments at this stage? Frederic, do you want to perhaps to use this opportunity to present the next session of formation about quality? So you will be the speaker?
Yes, with pleasure. I note that Florence has a question. Maybe we can take the question before I explain what's going to happen for the next station.
Yes, thank you, Frédéric. I was very interested by the quality framework that Arthur just presented, and I wanted to know how we can maybe try to use it on our project. How does that work? Should we send an email to Arthur, or what is not Arthur, sorry, Antoine.
Okay.
Should we send him an email, or what's do you know the procedure to have it?
So, yes, you can write to him, and you can also write directly to us, and we will organize that with him. I mean, that's a consortium which is included in Séraphin, so we are closely working together. So Antoine is back. Antoine, you disappeared.
I'm really sorry about this.
So Florence, so we did use this time for two things. So first, to introduce Frédéric for the next session, and so we'll keep a few minutes after you have finished to speak, just so that Frédéric can introduce the program of the next session. So next Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I think. And Florence has asked how to get the referentiel available for her in Belgium. And who does she have to contact? And I said, me or you, it's okay.
Absolutely. Again, very sorry for this. You can contact either Sébastien or me. For now, there is a first version of the. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. There is a first version of this, which normally is available through the Séraphin website, because it was a deliverable for the OFI project. Still, it's a first version, and we are now working on a second version through the video project, which is well, not official yet or not posted, and we can absolutely give you a glance of the work in progress there. I will point you the link to the first version, which is public.
Thank you.
I will be very quick. I didn't have many things left to say. Just that what I said previously about the way we accompanied the third-party financing into applying the framework gave birth to what we call the application protocol. That is one of the modules which we use in order to build this automated permanent control, permanent audit. Since we know who does what and with which tool, which application, we can target the right data, take it automatically out, and set some alerts, some notifications in order to make sure that the control is correctly applied. I had a last few examples. How can we make it operational? Through the project, we built some booklets, and the idea here was to have the core, the heart of it is the framework of controls, but we also created a few documents in order to help the people the people using this framework to use it in a friendly manner. That's an example of a booklet that we built through the project in order to make it easier to hear. The example is external installation of a wall. Depending on which case, you might need to, it might be recommended or mandatory to verify this or that. And here on the, sorry again. It's annoying here. On the right, there are some schematics, some illustrations in order to help you as an operator to know what to verify at some point in the project. And lastly, just a very quick example of how some of the third-party financing companies used what we did together in order to train their workers, their consultants, operators, into controlling the quality. Here, for example, on the Acroterre. So I definitely don't know this one in English, but the top of a the top of a wall with the liaison to the flat the flat ceiling, how to verify this and that on that very specific junction. This is an example of how Octave, which is one of the 5 third-party financing companies, used all of that material in order to train their workers. So yes, that's definitely the last example of how to make it operational within the third-party financing companies. That was the last slide I had made for today. Thank you very much for your listening. And if you have some more question, we can answer it. And then Frédéric will tell us a little bit more about the next session. No questions at all.
Thank
A
you,
question
Antoine.
from
Excuse me? Damien? No, nothing. Can you tell us if you will send the slides?
Oui, yes, I will. I will definitely send them, and I think there's supposed to be a quiz I need to send to.
Yes, we
Sebastian.
have to organize that. Yes.
I prepared a set of questions, but I need to put them in a, I don't know, a Google form or something in order to send it in a smart way.
Yeah. So to everybody, you will receive either you have in there or not. You will receive the transcription. I mean the recording of this session, plus the slide of Antoine through the EU peers communication teams. So in the next days, next week, I hope so. So Frédéric, what can you tell us about your next intervention?
Yes, for the next intervention.
So who are you first?
Yes, I'm Frédéric Roignan. I'm working for Doremi, a French company dealing with the efficiency in buildings. We are born from the year 2007. We have 5 agencies across France. We are about 60 people in there. And for me, I am specialized in coordination and in training, so that I will show you the Doremi experience on how we manage quality in building renovation. We will discuss on how we take the subject of renovation step by step, based on example. I think yes, we will have some surprise also, but I can deliver here and now all the subject. And we will have a discussion on how you manage the renovation work when it's not possible to do in one step.
Thank you. I have to complete your words because you're very humble. But Doremi in France is known as best quality organization ever established in France. They are very, very demanding. So that's an example for all of us. And this second session will be more technical and more operational than what Antoine has told us today, which was a presentation of the frame of quality, the philosophy of quality that we want to implement all over Europe. Frédéric will be more precise and more technical in his presentation. Antoine, do you want to complete, to say something?
Just thank you for for listening to and reacting to this presentation, and feel free to contact us if well you have any further question or reaction to the presentation. As you said, Sebastian, the idea here was to make an introduction of how quality is thought out through Serafin Association and FIDO project with some examples. But well, the idea was to put it into context as to why do we talk quality. And well, the answer is simple: insurance financing and technical quality, of course. The main idea was to gain and reinforce confidence towards households, insurance companies, financiers. Well, that's why it needs a bit of context as to how did we put it into place.
And
So
Antoine,
thank you.
I have to confess, I'm very impressed by your English language. So impressive. I mean, for French, just like me, my God.
Yeah.
My last trip was 10 years ago. It's gotten very rusty. So thank you for your patience, and I will look at my vocabulary for next sessions.
No, it's okay. And we are currently working on finding an IA tool for direct translation in every language, which will be a relief for everybody, because after all, England is not more inside the EU, so why do we speak English? My God. So, do we conclude? May we conclude? So we wait for any question, remark, comments that you want. You were the happy few first attendance to this EU peers cycle, and we hope to retrieve you in so next week on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, I think, p.m. and have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Antoine,
Take care. Oui.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Antoine?
Ouais.
Good. Et mon chéri, t'as vraiment un anglais d'enfer, hein?
Écoute, il y a quand même certains mots basiques sur lesquels j'ai buté.
Attends.
J'ai pris la pression du coup. Hein.
Non, aucun souci. On t'a perdu, je crois, Sébastien.
Ah, excuse-moi, j'ai
C'est-
disparu.
Oui,
Ouais,
non.
ton accent, il est génial. Moi, j'ai pu tout comprendre sans même te regarder. C'était top. Bon, on en a eu 11, c'est ça? Si j'ai bien compté,
Ouais.
puisqu'il y en a un qui est parti, un autre qui est entré. Sur
C'est
les
ça.
20 qui étaient prévus, donc ça fait 50% de chute au dernier moment, c'est quand même beaucoup. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut dire d'autre? Je sais pas. Frédéric, qu'est-ce que t'en as pensé?
Ben moi j'ai bien aimé la partie Mentimeters. Enfin, vraiment c'est les petits outils qui donnent du plus et c'était très bien mené. C'est pas évident hein, d'avoir un si long temps d'intervention, je trouve. Et puis en plus le sujet, alors je connais pas du tout le niveau de connaissance de nos partenaires là du dispositif, mais c'est quand même pas non plus un sujet forcément toujours simple. Donc c'est quand même une gageure d'arriver à faire des choses claires et qui puissent un petit peu embarquer les personnes. Moi-même, je suis pas un spécialiste de la question, hein, je vous le confesse, sans trop de honte, mais du coup j'étais content aussi d'apprendre un certain nombre de choses. Euh,
Oui, il
et
est trop
voilà.
fort, Antoine.
Oui, voilà. Et puis effectivement, moi je te rejoins, Sébastien. Enfin, l'anglais que tu, même si tu penses il a un petit peu baissé, mais c'est vraiment un super point pour faciliter, et puis pour rendre les choses à l'aise sans que. Enfin voilà, ça permet à tout le monde de se détendre et puis de suivre. On est un peu comme à la maison, on se laisse guider et puis tout va bien, quoi. Donc c'est appréciable.
Merci,
Voilà.
merci de vos retours. Ce que ce que je note moi là en sortie, c'est j'avais déjà, enfin cette présentation, peut-être pas exactement sous ce format-là, mais en tout cas ces éléments-là, je les ai déjà présentés plusieurs fois et c'est vrai qu'en en français, je les couvre en 45 minutes, 1 heure. Et là, je me
Ouais.
suis rendu compte que j'avais pas voulu préparer, j'avais certains comment dire, éléments de discours tout près que voilà, ça s'est peut-être senti, où j'avais sujet verbe complément pour que ce soit le plus limpide, fluide possible. D'autres moins, parce que je voulais que ça reste naturel. Et je me rends compte que j'ai quand même, il y a plusieurs sujets tout bêtes sur lesquels je bute. Et mis bout à bout, et ben, ça fait qu'une heure, ça devient ça c'est un peu chiant. Mais ouais, je voulais essayer de rendre la chose interactive, parce que mine de, il y a pas mal de sujets à couvrir. Et peut-être trop. Mais en tout cas, parce que ce que je m'étais mis comme intention, Sébastien, parce donc on l'avait rebouclé avec Frédéric et on s'était accordé pour avoir une continuité, on va dire, et une articulation entre nos interventions, c'était de se dire que j'introduisais effectivement avec cet esprit de c'est moins opérationnel, on n'est pas sur un exemple projet et comment est-ce qu'on met en place, c'était de se dire comment est-ce qu'en tant que OSS justement et à plusieurs OSS, on se met ensemble pour co-construire et parvenir à quelque chose qui soit opérationnel homogène à plusieurs quoi. Ce qui nous semblait intéressant de mettre en lumière là à l'issue d'Orphée et de Séraphin. Donc ouais, c'est un peu au détriment de l'opérationnel euh, et, et du coup en anglais ça oblige à encore plus d'abstraction quoi, mais en tout cas c'est aussi pour ça que je voulais Mentimeter. J'avais d'ailleurs prévu une autre interaction, mais bon ça, avec le timing ça me semblait faire trop. Je voulais essayer de faire en sorte que ce soit un échange quoi, plus qu'un truc 100% descendant. Bon, en ça on n'est pas complètement parvenu, mais
Ouais, c'est pas forcément évident à faire de l'interactif sur ces sujets quand même. Ou alors il faudra beaucoup mieux connaître en fait l'état initial de
l'auditoire.
chacun, quoi.
Mm.
C'est- On ne le connaît pas, c'est compliqué. Et toi, Frédéric, comment tu prévois dans ton intervention la semaine prochaine?
Bah, écoute, pour l'instant, c'est pas complètement bouclé, mais vraiment, moi, ce que j'ai envie de dire, c'est comment est-ce que Dorémy, on a construit un écosystème pour se donner des moyens d'aller justement vers cette qualité et d'accompagner un petit peu les différents partenaires au cours d'un projet, que ce soit les artisans, les personnes chez Dorémy qui accompagnent les artisans, et aussi comment est-ce qu'on accompagne les ménages. Et puis après, une fois qu'on a décrit cet écosystème, prendre un projet donc de rénovation par étape, en sachant qu'on n'a pas un recul dingue encore sur cette question-là, parce que ça prend du temps forcément, de regarder comment on fait, donc de montrer aussi un petit peu quelques outils qu'on utilise et comment on mobilise les équipes d'Orémi autour de ces projets. Les résultats, la satisfaction des ménages, on a au moins quelques études qui nous permettent de mesurer à la fois la performance et la satisfaction des ménages sur la proposition initiale de rénovation. Et puis, ensuite, la dernière étape, ce serait peut-être de challenger le public pour leur dire, bon, ben voilà, ça, c'est ce qu'on fait chez nous, avec aussi des limites. Il ne faut pas se cacher qu'il y a quand même des limites à tout ça. Comment vous faites chez vous? Voilà, pour lancer peut-être une petite discussion, en sachant que j'ai envie de circonscrire ça à un temps pas trop long, parce que ça peut partir un peu dans tous les sens. Mais la question, elle reste aussi comment aller les chercher plutôt qu'ils soient passifs à écouter ce que j'ai à raconter. Donc voilà un petit peu, hein, globalement, tout n'est pas encore mis en musique, mais c'est un petit peu les idées que j'ai dans un coin.
Ok. Je pense tu vois, là, on a fait qu'1 heure et demie, donc on a un peu de marge sur
Ouais,
l'interaction.
ok.
Donc, si jamais tu as des idées d'interaction, moi je suis très très mauvais là-dedans, donc
Ouais,
je sais pas faire. Si tu as des idées, n'hésite pas à les pousser.
ouais,
C'est vrai que le multiméter d'Antoine, là, ça permettait d'impliquer un peu les gens, ne
oui,
serait-ce que où est-ce qu'ils sont et tout, c'était pas mal.
oui, oui.
Et c'est rien, mais je dois avouer que moi je sais pas faire, quoi.
Ouais.
C'est ma limite perso.
Ah, le gros avantage, tu connaissais déjà Sébastien Mentimeter ou...
Bon, je sais pas si c'était celui-là que j'avais employé, mais
Ok.
en plus, il n'y a même pas besoin de déclarer qui on est, donc c'est direct,
Ouais,
on
c'est
répond
ça. Je trouve
directement.
que le gros avantage de celui-ci par rapport à d'autres, parce que j'en ai utilisé un paquet d'autres, c'est qu'il est vraiment hyper simple, tant pour ceux qui, comment dire, qui l'utilisent, enfin l'assistance, quoi, que pour celui qui le crée. Enfin, c'est vraiment assez simple d'usage. J'ai pas utilisé 5% de ce que ça permet de faire parce que ça te permet de faire bien l'autre truc. Mais rien qu'avec ces deux formats un peu basiques, là, enfin les trois formats, le nuage de mots, le machin, enfin ouais, c'est vrai que ça permet d'avoir un petit peu d'interaction et puis bah, pour ceux qui présentent, un petit peu de doser un peu en fonction de là où les gens partent, quoi. S'ils nous disent qu'ils connaissent déjà ça sur le bout des doigts, on adapte, quoi.
Ok.
C'est marrant, on vient juste de me transmettre le contact de Eliat Avignon.
Ah oui.
Sans aucun lien, c'est mon beau-père, je pense qu'il doit vouloir me construire mon réseau avant mon arrivée en Drôme
Ok.
et qui me transmet ça sans contexte.
Ok.
Donc je vais lui demander pourquoi il me transmet.
C'est qui, Elliot Avignon?
Directrice du pôle formation de Rémi.
Ouais.
Ah,
Oui, oui.
Il me le transmet à l'instant là. J'ai pas de contexte, je sais pas pourquoi il m'envoie ça, mais je vais aller me renseigner.
mais tu sais, de temps en temps, on reçoit des trucs sur Facebook que c'est juste pas possible que ça arrive. Merde, j'ai oublié de couper l'enregistrement. Chut.
Faudra le tanker.
Arrêtez l'enregistrement, crac. Arrêtez.
Oui, ça fait penser au micro